I'm going to read you a passage from Saul Bellow's novel, Henderson, the Rain King, written in 1959. I think the tone anticipates that of Vonnegut 10 years later. What you need to know is the narrator, who is a middle-aged man, is reminiscing about a time when he was 19. He winds up working for a man named Hanson. Later on in his life, much later, the narrator works with pigs. So that will help you with some of the minor details of this passage. It was Ontario then, though I don't remember which part of the province. The park was a fairground too, and Hanson, the guy in charge, slept me in the stables. There the rats jumped back and forth over my legs at night and fed on oats, and the watering of the horses began at daybreak in the blue light that occurs at the end of darkness in the high latitudes. I worked with Smolak. I almost had forgotten this animal, Smolak, an old brown bear whose trainer, also Smolak, he had been named for him, had beat it with the rest of the troop and left him on Hanson's hands. There was no need of a trainer. Smolak was too old, and his master had dusted him off. This ditched old creature was almost green with time and down to his last teeth, like the pits of dates. For this shabby animal, Hanson had thought up a use. He had been trained to ride a bike, but now he was too old. Now he could feed from a dish with a rabbit, after which, in a cap and bib, he drank from a baby bottle while he stood on his hind legs. But there was one more thing, and this was where I came in. There was a month yet to the end of the season, and every day of this month Smolak and I rode on a roller coaster together before large crowds. This poor, broken, ruined creature and I, alone, took the high rides twice a day. And while we climbed and dipped and swooped and swerved and rose again higher than the Ferris wheels and fell, we held on to each other. By a common bond of despair we embraced, cheek to cheek, as all support seemed to leave us and we started down the perpendicular drop. I was pressed into his long-suffering, age-worn, tragic, and discolored coat as he grunted and cried to me. At times the animal would wet himself, but he was apparently aware I was his friend, and he did not claw me. I took a pistol with blanks in case of an assault. It never was needed. I said to Hanson, as I recall, "We're two of a kind. Smolak was cast off, and I am an Ishmael too." As I lay in the stable, I would think about my brother Dick's death and about my father. But most of the time I lived not with horses, but with Smolak, and this poor creature and I were very close. So before pigs ever came on my horizon, I received a deep impression from a bear. So if corporeal things are an image of the spiritual, and visible objects are renderings of invisible ones, and if Smolak and I were outcasts together, two humorists before the crowd, but brothers in our souls, I unbared by him, and he probably humanized by me, I didn't come to the pigs as a tabula rasa. It only stands to reason. Something deep already was inscribed on me. Once more, whatever gains I ever made were always due to love and nothing else. And as Smolak, mossy like a forest elm, and I rode together, and as he cried out at the top, beginning the bottomless rush over those skimpy yellow supports, and up once more against eternity's blue, oh, the stuff that has been done within this envelope of color, this subtle bag of life-giving gases, while the Canadian hicks were rejoicing underneath with red faces, all the nubble-fingered rubes, we hugged each other, the bear and I, with something greater than terror, and flew in those gilded cars. I shut my eyes in his wretched, time-abused fur. He held me in his arms and gave me comfort. And the great thing is that he didn't blame me. He had seen too much of life, and somewhere in his huge head he had worked it out that for creatures there is nothing that ever runs unmingled.